Hey everybody, welcome back to Molnar 2020. I am John Molnar. I'm the Libertarian candidate for Utah's 4th District Representative to United States Congress this year. And today we're coming back to you. We've been out of producing videos for a little while. There's been a lot of stuff going on with COVID this year. And then on top of that, last week I actually had to put down my 11-year-old German Shepherd, Kelb, that has been in a lot of these videos for you all. So we're gonna kind of be shifting things a little bit just because obviously without him, that takes away some of the things we were doing. We'll still try and get out, go hiking, do things like that. But today, I want to talk about something a little different than the usual coronavirus talking points. And that is the food shortages. Because I was on with Larry Sharp about a week or two ago, and on his show, we were talking about how my focus when it comes to coronavirus has been that this has happened once, it can happen again. We need to go through looking at what's happened this time and how we can make sure that it doesn't happen next time. Now, a lot of that when it comes to policy making and me looking at things and laws we can do in Congress, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff to pour through, but something that we can do right now is start growing more of our own food. We've seen food shortages in our grocery store. They're still going on. I know my Walmart and my grocery stores have things like eggs are hard to find right now. Produce got hard to find for a little while. And so trying to find things that you can grow in your own home to help supplement your own food source is definitely a way to make sure that the next time, if there are any type of food shortages, you aren't hurt nearly as badly. Now, we talk a lot about pantry items and food storage and things like that in this nation, especially with people who like to prep. I'm one of them. Yet one of the things that I myself even neglected to do was a garden. And a lot of that comes because of the fact that I live in a condo. There's just not much to grow, especially here in Utah. You know, when you get into indoor growing, it gets very difficult. And so one of the things that I've been experimenting with and found works really well is microgreens, which is what we're going to talk about today while we're talking about food shortages. Now, this is the last of my first harvest that I just did about a week ago. I was eating through it all, and this is what's left. I went way too overboard on this. The instructions that I heard were do 60 grams of seeds, so I did 60 grams, and that was way too much. So I'm going to pour what's left into this bucket. Tomorrow, I'm going to be picking up some worms, and I'm going to let those worms compost this into good organic soil that will help all the rest of my plants grow. And that way, when the garden centers and things like that run out of things like fertilizer, I won't be hurting nearly as badly to feed the plants that I have stocked up on now, because I will have worms in my own place that will allow me to keep feeding my plants with the proper nutrients. So tomorrow I'll pick up some worms. We'll start doing some videos on how I'm going to do that as well. But we'll get that out of the way. So the microgreens are really easy, like crazy easy. It took me a week to get them from seed right here to being able to eat them. This bag of seed is a 1 pound bag. It's just a mix of different seeds that I picked up off Amazon. Nothing is sponsored, guys. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. We're just talking about how you at home can help start providing more food for your family in case of food shortages. Okay, that's the only point that we're trying to do today. I'm not trying to sell you on anything or nothing. I'm just talking about how one plant that I found works really well inside a condo to supplement some greens. You know, I think one of the biggest things that coronavirus has shown us, you know, with all the bad stuff that we talk about, has been that our food industry has been way too reliant on large corporations for agriculture. And when we have something like coronavirus come in, the downside to that is it puts us at risk, because when one facility goes down, that facility is feeding so many people that there is then a huge impact on the food supply. Whereas if you have people who are supplementing some more of their own, you've got more small scale farm operations, then there's less of a chance of a disruption like we saw with COVID. And so hopefully we never see a disruption again in our food supply, and hopefully it goes away with what it's at now. But in the event that it's not, myself, my family, and I hope yours too, is looking at growing more of your own food to provide healthier, sustainable options for your family going forward out of this pandemic. So what we're going to do here, the things we need to start with is I have this tray that is going to be growing the microgreens in it, but for now it's just filled with a little bit of water because we're going to germinate the seeds. So you just need a food scale, a bowl to weigh everything in. I'm going to zero it out because whenever you're using a food scale, whatever item you put on there, you need to make sure that it goes to zero from there. So we're on grams, And this time, instead of 60, I'm gonna step it down to 20 and see how that works for me and my family. You know, we're still getting used to the texture or the taste of all these foods, like the microgreens. It's not something we really eat a lot of. Actually, we don't really eat them at all. It just happens to be one of the few things that grows really well inside a condo for us to be able to supplement some of the greens in our diet. So once you have those 20 grams, all I do is just dump them right into there. And I let them sit for overnight. And then tomorrow I'm going to come through, I'm going to strain them out, and then I'm going to put them into soil. This particular setup did come as like a tray. Actually, let me pause right there. Let me grab the tray, I'll show you guys. Alright, so this is the tray that it came with to grow, and as you can see, it's got a lot of holes in there. Now the problem I was having with trying to grow this and doing almost a pure hydroponic grow was that the seeds that I got were too small. They were draining right through the hole. It was becoming a pain. So I switched it over to soil and everything went a lot smoother. So you don't have to grow with soil. You can grow with something like this. I just didn't want to. I had a lot of extra potting soil left over from the trees that I picked up. I picked up things like dwarf banana, some figs, blood orange, a couple avocado trees, Meyer lemon tree. I've been picking up a few things here, trying to play with it and experiment with what we can grow in a condo here in Utah for me and my family. The microgreens were hands down the easiest one, the cheapest one to get started with, and so I like to do them in soil. That's what worked for me. You don't have to do it that way, but that's just what worked for me. So all we're gonna do now with this tray is I'm just gonna cover it with a lid, stick it somewhere sunny, and that's it. That's all we're doing for the microgreens. Like I said, I'll let them sit overnight, and then tomorrow I'll put them in soil, and then in about 6 days, they'll be ready to start eating. So that's about how quick it can turn around. Now microgreens do sell for quite a bit in the store, so if you like them anyways, and you're not just trying to supplement your own produce at your home, this is a great way to go. Now, like, you know, this is a politics related show, so we do some fun activities, but we do have to talk politics. And like I said, one of the things that I'm starting to look at a lot is how we go forward from COVID. I don't really care about the mask stuff or all of the shutdowns nearly as much as how do we go about this so that the next time something like this happens, we don't have to go through this the exact same way again. I think that's one thing we can all agree on, is whatever side you fall on the debate for how COVID has gone down this year, I think we can all agree that it was done the wrong way and that it shouldn't happen like this ever again. Now, again, that's wishful thinking in a lot of cases. There's a good chance that it could happen exactly the same way again, and in that event that it does happen this way again, I think it's really important that we start looking at our food supplies in this nation. And in a lot of cases, that doesn't even come down to what I can push as your congressman over in DC. That's gonna come down to what you, as an individual, can do yourself. I got the dog kicking the microgreens bowl. Hold on. Come here. You wanna say hi? So this is the other dog. I actually had two. Caleb we had to put down. This is Snoop. He's the Chihuahua. We don't take him out hiking or anything because of the fact that he's so small he could get eaten. There are rattlesnakes out here. I mean, when I had Caleb and we were going out hiking, I would get him his rattlesnake vaccination just because of the times when we do run into rattlesnakes out here in Utah. That was a good thing to have. With this guy, he doesn't come out because he's just so small. He gets bit by a rattlesnake, that thing's gonna go through him a lot quicker. There's a lot more dangers for him, and he's not as well trained. He's only about, how old are you now, 7 months old? Got him for the wife for Christmas, so there we go. But anyways, like I was saying, you know, coming back to the food stuff, it doesn't take a lot for me to have to do on the legislative side to help you guys with food. Honestly, a lot of it is going to come down to what you yourself can do in trying to provide food for your own family. I know taking things on ourselves isn't always the most idealistic answer because it requires responsibility. However, I think like I was saying before, one of the things I think COVID has shown us is that we have become way too reliant upon big agriculture to supply us our food. And when we have something that's going to come in and disrupt that system, of those big corporations, because they control so much of it at a large facility, it has a much larger impact. So if you're able to offset some of the food needs that your family has by growing some yourself at home, you'll be better prepared moving forward in the future. So anyways, I know this wasn't really I'm running for Congress, here's a law I think we can pass. I don't think all the answers have to come from laws from government. A lot of those answers can come with the way that we ourselves do things. Growing things inside a condo is hard. I've been experimenting with it all year long now, since COVID kicked off. That was kind of where I went. While everybody else was rushing off to buy guns and ammo and food supplies, my wife and I had already stocked up on things like water and dried goods for our pantry. So my first go-to was for the gardening section, because like I said, we live in a condo. I'd never thought to try and grow anything. Now I was suddenly forced into it. So I'm finding some things that do work inside condos, especially here in Utah, and I will be talking about those more as we go through these videos. That's just going to be an activity I do while we're talking about other things. Today I just want to talk about the food shortages and start getting you guys talking about maybe what you're growing at home, maybe what you see that I could be doing better, or just some things that you want to try. Maybe I could pick something up and experiment with it with you. Either way, the one thing that I know for sure is that we have to start growing at least some of our own food. Even just a small tray of microgreens like what I pulled out today. You know, this tray was about $10, the pound bag of seeds was about 20 bucks, and the potting soil was just leftover stuff. Tomorrow, like I said, I'll pick up some worms. We'll go through some things on how to do composting. That's something that I'm going to be learning myself, and I'll take you guys along with me for the ride. Either way, like I said, not everything has to be a law in government. Sometimes it can just come about from us changing a little thing here and there to help supplement us. I mean, this one harvest took a week to make, and it fed me and my wife in greens for a week. We're going to cut it back, scale it back, and also as we're eating more of it, we'll probably eat more and more as we get used to how to eat what we're growing ourselves even more. But either way, I hope that this inspires you to go out and try and grow some food if you aren't already. If you are, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're growing, especially if you're in a condo, because like I said, that for me is a big one. You can go on YouTube, you can find a lot of stuff on the internet about how to grow in your garden, how to grow outside, but when it comes to indoor fruit production or vegetable production, you're starting to get some slim pickings there. Either way, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you're growing yourself. And let's continue this going forward. If you have some ideas on things that we can look at agriculture-wise for laws, I know Thomas Macy's Prime Act is one that I've been looking at a little bit, trying to get the ins and outs of. There's a few other things going on as well that I'm looking at for laws that we can work on. But in the meantime, this is something that you guys can do immediately to help out with your own concerns for the food shortage, so that maybe you're a little bit more prepared, not as freaked out. There's a lot of anxieties going around right now. Hopefully, you try this, you see this helps, or you try something similar and you find out that you can grow food in your own home as well, and that helps alleviate some of those concerns as we continue on through this pandemic for who even knows how long anymore. Anyways, I'm John Molnar. Don't forget to vote for me for Utah's 4th District Representative to United States Congress this year. Vote Libertarian, vote gold. I'm John Molnar, out.